You're listening to the Greeks Gridiron, live with Ethan Haristadoulou.
Welcome everybody back to the Greeks Gridiron. I am Ethan Haristadoulou, and today is our game day preview of week 1 for the 2021 season. It is September 12th, 2021. Let's get excited, everybody. Finally, we have made it. We had our first actual game that mattered this past Thursday. I started out the year 1-0, picking the Buccaneers to win that home opener, and they were able to keep me undefeated so far with that late field goal with only a handful of seconds left on the clock. What we're going to be doing today is essentially I'm going to go over some games to watch, like excited ones that are ones that I am excited about, and then from there, we'll go into some bold predictions that I have for either players or teams, things that I think might happen that people won't be expecting. And then at the end of the video, we'll go over my game picks. I'll have them listed up on the screen for you guys to see. And if you're listening, obviously, I'll rattle them out so you guys know what's going on. I'm not going to get into too much in-depth detail as to why I picked the teams because I don't want this video to be too long. So I'll give like brief overviews on anything that might be a little bit jarring. So, as always, if you enjoy what we're doing, like, comment, share, subscribe. Let's get this thing going, shall we? So, to start things off, we're going to start with the games to watch, and I'm going to start with the 1 p.m. Eastern games. Now, funny enough, I don't actually have the Sunday Night Football game on this list. Not that I'm not excited to see Matthew Stafford on the Rams playing for the first time there, but I think that there are just 5 other games that are a little bit more interesting with more questions and more storylines woven into it, whereas the Bears and the Rams is really just like the Bears and Andy Dalton, and then Matthew Stafford's debuting on the Rams, So there's just other games that I feel have a little bit more interest. Obviously, I'll be watching the Sunday night game, but I'm a little bit more excited about some other games, I guess you could say. The first one that I have on here is going to be the Chargers and Washington. Now, the reason I have this one here, firstly, 2 up-and-coming teams. The Chargers have Justin Herbert. That offense looked really good with him under center. Obviously, he was a rookie last year, so he had some slip-ups, but 31 touchdowns, 10 TDs, 31 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, excuse me. A lot to be excited about with him. Obviously, a new head coach and system and everything for him to be under as well. I think a lot of people are kind of antsy to see them get past like the 6, 7, or 8 win mark at least. I think that the Chargers are going to at least take a step forward and potentially reach that range and might even fight for like that number 7 seed in the AFC side of the playoffs. But on top of that, you have Washington, who had an outstanding defense last year, who with Taylor Heineke at quarterback, nearly knocked off the Buccaneers in that wild card round of the first week of the playoffs last year. We almost didn't even have the Buccaneers going it past that first week. So, I mean, there's a lot to be excited about. You have a really young and upstart defense there in Washington. You have the up-and-coming Justin Herbert. Washington now has Ron Rivera there for the second year, and I mean, he has like flipped that team around, so I'm excited to see what he's able to do with year 2. They won the division the first year he was there, and now they have him again. Things are looking really good in Washington. They're actually my pick to win the NFC East, so a lot to be excited about, and obviously, Fitzmagic, we have him over there as well. Everyone's curious to see how he's going to do. I think he has a really good setup on offense there. They got Terry McLaurin, and then they also brought in Curtis Samuel, who I think has an injury thing going on right now. I'll have to double check that. But, I mean, there's just so much to be excited about between Washington and with the Chargers that this is a game that if you can watch it, I would definitely check it out. And, I mean, just to get to see Justin Herbert play with the sensational rookie that he was last year, I cannot wait to see how he goes through the next season. And if he outperforms himself and improves that, maybe he gets like 35 touchdowns and maybe single-digit interceptions. Who knows? But a lot to be excited about there. The second game that I have on this list, and this one will be a little bit of a fandom thing here, but also I think there's a lot that goes into it as well. We have the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Indianapolis Colts. This is also in that 1 p.m. Eastern time window. So we have 2 playoff teams here. I would say that both of these teams are 100% contending. You have Russell Wilson, who, the whole let Russ cook thing happened last year, and then there was the drama this off. Well, not really drama, but there was some questions being raised. Russell Wilson made some comments, and some people really thought that Russell Wilson might be out the door. He kind of made it seem like that was all blown out of proportion. I don't know. Maybe that's just him trying to, smooth out stuff from his end and just make it look like it was less than it actually was. I think that there is more to that than meets the the eye. He is somebody who has been sacked more times than anyone in the 9 years that he's been playing in the league. So there's got to be more to that, in my opinion. And then obviously we have Carson Wentz, who's debuting on the Indianapolis Colts, who, a couple of weeks ago, the Colts looked like they were missing Carson Wentz, Quentin Nelson, and Eric Fisher might even be back sooner than most people expect. So, there's a lot to be excited about with Indianapolis. The Seahawks, of course, they are like a perennial playoff team. They're pretty much in the running every single year. Pete Carroll has done such a great job with that system. So you have two playoff teams that are going to duke it out in this first week, and I think it's going to be a little bit more of a high-scoring affair, in my opinion. I have a feeling that just based off that first, I don't know, the first week's more of like a feel-out process. Even the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season is more of like a feeling-out process, especially for the defenses. So I think it'll take like a week or two for the defenses on both these teams to really settle out and find out what they are. The Colts have had a pretty good defense the last few years. The Seahawks, their defense was kind of the reason that they faltered last year. So a lot to look at there, but I think an exciting matchup nonetheless. We got let Russ cook. We got Carson Wentz, who, is he going to be the guy that we saw last year in the league, which as a Colts fan, I hope not. But also, is he going to be the potential MVP we saw a few years ago? That is what I'm hoping for. A lot to see there. Now, my third pick, and this is the last of the 1 p.m. window, and if you can watch this game, I recommend you watching this game because I'm definitely going to watch it myself here. We have the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Buffalo Bills. This is literally an AFC playoff matchup. I have a strong feeling, especially with the injuries that have just plagued the Ravens the last few weeks. The Steelers are probably going to make their way into the playoffs. I expect this to be a team that wins at least 10 games or more, so I have a strong feeling. The Bills, they were just in the AFC Championship last year. They have gotten better and better year over year, so you literally just have two AFC heavyweights that are going to slug it out. The Pittsburgh Steelers have gotten the best of the Bills, and I want to see Josh Allen and the Bills, finally, stomp out that one team that seems to give them fits and then go from there. So playoff implications on the line, AFC heavyweights. What more can you want from a game like this, especially in the early window? This is an exciting one to watch. Ben Roethlisberger obviously coming back off his injury. Juju Smith-Schuster stuck around after the, kind of off-season stuff that was going on with him. A lot of people thought he was out, and then he ended up staying in Pittsburgh, took less money to stay and play with Big Ben. So a lot to look at there. And then the defenses as well. The improved pass rush for Buffalo and obviously the great secondary they have over there. And then you look at the Pittsburgh side of things. TJ Watt just signed his massive deal. Minkah Fitzpatrick is back there. There's so much to look at and be excited about in this game. If you can check it out, I 100% recommend to. That's the game that I'm definitely trying to watch. Even though my Colts are playing at the same time, that Steelers-Bills game I think is going to be a good one. I'll have to have multiple screens up going when that's happening. Now, my next two games, these are both in the 4:25 p.m. Eastern time slot. So these are the midday games that we have going on here. These are my last two picks. Like I said, I only have 5. Number 4 is going to be the Packers and the Saints. Because what an interesting little story that these two teams have had going back and forth, I think, the last few years. Obviously, Jameis Winston is now the quarterback over in New Orleans. Aaron Rodgers is coming back with what's crazy is an even bigger chip on his shoulder than last year. So, when you add that up, I have a strong feeling that Rodgers is going to be right back in the running for MVP, and if not, he's probably winning it again if he plays even close to what he was doing last year. You look at the numbers there, what was it, 48 touchdowns and 5 interceptions or something ridiculous like that, 45 touchdowns. I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but he was up there with those numbers, and it was ludicrous how good he was last year, and the fact that he's coming back to prove even more, and this might be his last year, or more than likely his last year in Green Bay from what it sounds like, unless everything goes well. This is a team that is going to be slugging it out at some point in the later half of the playoffs. The Saints, a little bit more of a wild card team. Jameis Winston offers the ability for the Saints to push the ball down the field a lot more, which has me excited because they're going to be able to run pretty much the same New Orleans offense that Drew Brees was running. Taysom Hill's going to still do his gadget thing, and then from there you can kind of just the idea is that hopefully you're able to push the ball further down the field. Drew Brees' arm strength, obviously not quite what it was the last few years of his career. He was having a hard time making those deep ball throws. So with this, I think that this could end up being an awesome game, or it might just be the Packers blowing things out. I don't really see the Saints dominating Green Bay just because there's so much uncertainty on the offensive side of the football at the biggest and most important position there. There was a lot of pieces lost in New Orleans as well. They did lose some defensive pieces, some offensive weapons as well. So I think that it's either going to be a very tight-knit game where either team could potentially squeak out the win if things go really well for New Orleans, or Jameis Winston is not the answer and Green Bay throttles them. That's kind of the two ways I see that game going. Now, the last game that I have on this list of the 5, this is another battle for the playoffs. So much implications on the line for this one, and also an AFC divisional round rematch. We are looking at the Kansas City Chiefs going up against the Cleveland Browns. This is a team that when you're looking at the Browns, they were so close to busting through that. I mean, they already did kind of bust the glass ceiling as a team there, but they almost took down the Chiefs in the playoffs, but they could not quite get it done, even with the fact that Patrick Mahomes got knocked out of the end of that game. So when you look at this, this is like kind of the big prove-it game, I would say, for Cleveland. They're going to go up against the team that they couldn't beat in the playoffs with the backup quarterback playing towards the end of the game. There is a lot of like put up or shut up implications here, I'd say, for Cleveland. And then on the flip side of things, when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, this is like, are they going to continue their dominance? Are they able to beat out a team that, was close to edging them out in the playoffs last year, had a shot at doing so? So there's a lot going into this one, and this is probably one of the more exciting ones of the later afternoon games that I'm really looking forward to watching. I mean, you can't ask for much else. I really think the NFL did an awesome job throwing together the Week 1 schedule. I don't know if this was by design, but they have some good playoff rematches or like playoff implication-based games. A lot of stuff to be excited about going through this very first week of the NFL season, and an awesome slate of games, and those are my 5 favorite ones. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to flip into some bold predictions. So, the first bold prediction that I have for you guys, Derrick Henry, he's going to be going for the three-peat, 3-time rushing king. Can he do it? Well, I'm going to go ahead and say I think he can, and I think he starts his run for 3 by starting off with 150 yards rushing and 2 total touchdowns. I think Derrick Henry is about to pop off Week 1. This is a guy that, he is like 6'5", 250 pounds. Dude's like a tight end running the football with a 4.4 40. Like, it doesn't make any sense, but it's happening. We are seeing greatness before us, so do not take it for granted. I think Derrick Henry is poised to have a very strong Week 1, and I think he's going to have another strong season. Everyone's been looking at, he's carrying the rock so much. He's not some tiny back. This is a big, mean dude who runs the football better than just about anyone that I have ever seen in the, I don't even know how many years that I've been watching football now. Obviously, a lot of players before my time that I didn't get to see going. I mean, I've seen their highlights, but I haven't gotten to see them the way I've gotten to see Derrick Henry play, especially as a Colts fan. I have watched what he can do to us. So I think he has a heavy Week 1, 150 yards, 2 TDs. My second bold prediction that I have for you guys, I think that it's going to be Sunday night. Matthew Stafford, lights out for him. I have him picked for 350 yards and 3 total touchdowns, be it 2 passing and a rushing, 3 passing, something along that. I think that Matthew Stafford is about to have a pop-off type of game where he is just going to be throwing dimes all over this Bears defense. You might not think that that's something that's going to go on, but this Bears defense, and I've mentioned this already, is not quite what it used to be. It's still good. It's still a playoff defense, but Matthew Stafford has weapons at his fingers all over the place like he has never had in his career. And I understand he's had Calvin Johnson, but that was the one piece that was ever around him, in my opinion, aside from like that year that they had Reggie Bush, and he didn't even do that much either, but he is like the one piece that Stafford has ever had. Now he has a great coach, good offensive line, offensive weapons to throw to. The running back situation's a little bit questionable there, but Matthew Stafford is far more talented than I have come to realize a lot of people don't know. I'm a big Matthew Stafford fan. I've always been a big Matthew Stafford fan, so I'm excited, and I think that on a grand stage like Sunday Night Football, he's going to really pop off and show everybody just how good of a quarterback he is. My third bold prediction, and I'm very curious to see what people think about this one, is this right here. Sam Darnold getting the W over his former team. Like I said, the NFL did a really great job throwing together a pretty interesting schedule with some interesting storylines, and Sam Darnold's going up against his former team right in Week 1 to kick off the season. I think he gets the job done. The Panthers are a good team. The Jets, obviously, they're in a rebuild mode. They have their franchise quarterback. They hope that they have their franchise quarterback for the foreseeable future. But I think that the Panthers might be a little bit more well-rounded than New York is at the very moment. This could very well swing the Jets' way, but I have a strong feeling, just like with the personnel that is in Carolina. Yeah, you got Christian McCaffrey and some really good wide receivers over there. Defense is solid, I would say. I guess I don't want to say they're great, but they're solid. And again, the Jets, they have a lot that they're looking for as far as players go for the next few years. Ton of draft capital to make that happen. I don't want to say that the Jets are going to come out swinging this year. I think it's going to take them a couple of years to really get somewhere. This is probably going to be a low wins total season for the Jets, but I expect the Panthers to come out with a W here in week 1. My fourth bold prediction, and this will kind of spoil one of my game picks here, and we just talked about this one before, and here's who I think the winner's going to be. I have the Cleveland Browns upsetting the AFC representatives of the Super Bowl, the Chiefs. I have a feeling that the Browns are here finally. You know, people have been calling it for years, but I think they finally showed up last season, and they really, really showed up in the playoffs. You know, especially in that game against Pittsburgh where they bullied them early on. So I think that the Browns are here. They finally have a good coaching staff. They finally have great personnel all over the football field. I think Baker Mayfield's a little bit better than a lot of people want to give him credit for. It's funny because at first it was like Baker Mayfield's not good and the talent around him sucks. They're all so good, but they can't do anything. Now that the Browns did good, the whole thing is oh, well, Baker Mayfield's just being carried by the talent around him. You can't have it both ways. I think Baker Mayfield has done a lot considering the coaching situation he's been in the first 3 years of his career. This is the first time he's going to be in year 2 of a system. A lot to be excited about in Cleveland, and I think the Browns might stomp an upset here. That's going to spoil one of my game picks for you guys. The last one that I have here, and this circles back to the Sunday Night Football game, I have a feeling because of how good that Rams defense is and how great this Rams offense should be, the Chicago Bears are going to struggle, and I have them pegged for about 150 yards or less of total offense. So I'm thinking a rough night for Chicago. I just don't know if Andy Dalton is the answer. Offensive line concerns are a big thing in Chicago right now with injuries. So a lot to look at as far as Chicago goes, but I don't expect a very strong performance from the offense. I mean, who knows? I might eat my words on this one and look like a fool, but I think that Rams defense is just so damn good, and I don't know if I buy Andy Dalton in that system. I honestly think Justin Fields is the better player to go with, but, you know, the Bears want to wait, and I respect that. You know, they're the coaching staff, and, you know, they're the personnel people over there. They know what's going on more than we do, but I think Justin Fields is probably going to perform better in the offense that they have. So, you know, however many weeks they wait to put him in, I think this offense might actually struggle a little bit before they finally get him in there. And he's kind of like the little spark that they need to get things rolling on the offensive side of the football. Defense should be pretty good, but I'm worried about that Chicago offense this year, to be honest with you guys. Now, to wrap up the show, my game picks for the day. It'll pop up on the screen over here to my left, and you will see them all listed up there now. For those of you that are listening, I have the Tennessee Titans, the 49ers, the Jaguars, the Broncos, the Bills, the Washington football team, Patriots, Falcons, Seahawks, Rams, Browns, Panthers, Ravens, Packers, and Vikings are all pegged as my winners for this week 1. I'm currently 1-0 with my game picks, so we're starting the season strong and undefeated. I have a feeling that this is probably not going to last very long, and it might end in the first. It might end in the very first slate of games there that we have at 1 o'clock Eastern time. But these are my game picks. Please let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And that is going to be it for my game day preview. I hope you guys are excited because I am pumped to see some football. And it has been a while since I've gotten to just sit there and stare at a screen for, you know, like 12 hours in a day and it be acceptable. So let's get excited. The football season is here. Again, let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I'll catch you guys on Tuesday for a Power Rankings video. I'll see you guys then. Have a good one.